A teacher in Texas is on the verge of losing her job for what she tried to say one-on-one to President Trump, urging him to help her, quote unquote, about the illegals in her school. Her word. The school board in Fort Worth just voted unanimously for a proposed termination of high school English teacher Georgia Clark. The teacher sent more than a half dozen messages via Twitter to Trump, thinking that they were private, but alas, they were public. Here's one tweet, quote, "I do not know what to do. Anything you could do to remove the illegals from Fort Worth would be greatly appreciated," end quote. Fort Worth education officials say the Supreme Court directs that no student may be denied a public education based upon citizenship or, quote, lack thereof. Reportedly, no one spoke on Clark's behalf at that meeting, but more than a dozen spoke against her, questioning why she is still on the payroll after multiple cases of offensive behavior.
The remarks created a threat that will directly result in children missing the education to which they are legally entitled because their parents will keep them home out of fear.
Clark's students may not remember how to structure a sentence 10 years from now, but they will remember that a teacher singled them out by their ethnicity, separated them by race, and violated their trust. In 21 years of teaching, Clark has several of these substantiated claims on her record.
That parent there, that is Lizzie Maldonado. She joins me now. Lizzie, thank you for being here. When you first saw these tweets, what did you think?
Well, I'm a digital native, so I have to say at first, I mean, aside from the content being very dangerous and harmful to the students, I did sort of have like a little bit of a laughter response, only thinking that how could this woman think that she's going to reach the president with these tweets? Obviously, that's not going to be the case. But then it was just a moment later that I started thinking critically about her next steps when she realized that she wasn't going to get a response from the president. When was it, how long was it going to be before she called ICE on her students or before she sought other means to get students that were under her care out of her school? So at first I think it was, just more of a reaction like how could she possibly think that this is going to go anywhere? But here we are, and it is national news that she tweeted.
It is national news of the big whoops, on her case. And I hear you on the laughter. And yes, the president is actually a prolific tweeter, but it ended up being very public. And what's also been public, it sounds like, is that previous offenses, right? I mean, you talk about how this wasn't a first for her. Can you give me another example of when she crossed the line and parents complained?
Absolutely. She has multiple substantiated claims on her record. One time, 18 students stood up from her class and said that they had been separated in their classroom for activities by ethnicity, with one side being Little Mexico, quote unquote, and one side being white bread or America, and it also included white and black students. That's obviously hugely traumatic and detrimental for students who are in that classroom. And then
what were
on
the
a separate
kids?
occasion,
can I ask you? Let me follow up on that. I mean, how old are these kids? And I mean, we send kids to school not to be in fear, right? Not to be discriminated against. What did the kids think? Do you know?
She teaches high school English.
And the kids are separated. Go on. What are other examples?
So the day that she sent those tweets to President Donald Trump, she had apparently, one paper reported that she had already asked a student for their documentation status in the hallway, which is obviously not allowed in Fort Worth ISD. So that's already another incident that's piled up on top of this. And on a separate occasion, she had kicked a student in the foot years before. So over 21 years of her career, the main thing to take away is that there is sort of a history of racist and traumatic behavior toward children that makes them feel unsafe.
The open records request corroborates your, how she referred to a group of students as Little Mexico and called another student white bread. Here's the next question, Lizzie. What took the school system so long to take action?
Yeah, I think in 2013, when that incident happened, the United Educators Association represented her in a case where they made a recommendation that she be reassigned to another school, where she was reassigned to Carter Riverside. And one of the the special dangers about her being at Carter Riverside is that it's 88% Latino. So I think that obviously it was a bad move on the part of the district to reassign her to a school, to any other school, but in particular a school that's majority minority. That's not obviously in the best interest of the students at that school. So.
Technically, this teacher is still employed. She is on leave. She is still getting a paycheck. We know that the school board unanimously voted to terminate her, but she is appealing that. If this teacher wins her appeal, though, against what they refer to as this proposed termination, there is a possibility that she sticks around. So if, in fact, that is the case, Lizzie, what do you and other parents hope to do?
I mean, we're not going to drop it until she does, that's for sure. And the other thing to remember is that it's not only Georgia Clark. We need to make a statement that this type of behavior, these comments, these racist attitudes are not welcome by teachers in our school district, especially given the amount of power and authority that they have over other students. So we're definitely going to make an example out of Georgia Clark for sure. Unfortunately, I'm sure that she's not alone. I'm sure that she's not the only teacher in Fort Worth ISD that has problematic views and racist ideology. But I do think that she was one of the first ones to put her opinion out there in such a public way, probably because she didn't understand the technology. That doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think we're going to take it as far as she's going to. That's for sure.
We'll stay in contact with you and other, I know, concerned parents. Lizzie Maldonado, thank you very much.
Thank you.